It was just another Thursday. I remember the heat more than anything, sweat sticking to my neck under my hard hat, that suffocating kind of humidity that makes your shirt feel like a second skin. I was at a job site across town, rewiring an entire breaker system for a commercial warehouse. The crew had broken for lunch, but I stayed behind. Figured I'd get ahead on one last panel before calling it a day. Then my phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it. My hands were full of wires and grime, and I figured it was just a robocall. But something about the timing, it was too early for telemarketers, too odd for anything casual. I wiped my fingers on my jeans and checked the screen. Derek, neighbor. Derek and I weren't the kind of friends who talked during work hours. We weren't close. He borrowed my ladder once. We watched the Super Bowl together a couple years back. If he was calling, something had to be wrong. I picked up. Yo, what's up? Eric, he said, breathless. You need to get home. Like now. My heart stuttered. Why? What happened? Is Zara okay? There's a U-Haul outside your place. A big one. Couple guys are loading up furniture. What? I blinked, mind blanking. What are you talking about? I thought maybe you were moving and forgot to mention it. But man, your wife's there? Marissa. She's at a clipboard. She's supervising. I felt cold, even in the heat. Wait, what? They already got your couch in the truck, man. The one with the recliners. The big TV's gone too. I don't know what this is, but it doesn't look like a break-in. Looks planned. I didn't say a word. Just dropped the tools, yanked off my gloves, and sprinted across the site toward my truck. I barely remember the drive home. I ran red lights. Took corners too fast. Didn't care. My brain was on fire. Thoughts colliding and melting into each other. Robbery? Kidnapping? Mental breakdown? Was she moving? Were we moving? We weren't moving. When I turned the corner into our neighborhood, my stomach dropped. There it was. A giant 26-foot U-Haul, parked like it owned the place. And there she was. Marissa, my wife of 17 years, standing at the edge of the driveway, wearing yoga pants and a tank top, her hair tied back like she was just doing weekend chores. Not crying, not panicked, just checking things off a list. Next to her, him, a tall guy, maybe late 30s, with slick back hair and designer sunglasses. A tight polo shirt stretched over a gym-built torso. He was pointing at my stuff. Pointing, like he lived there, like this was his home. I slammed the brakes so hard the truck fishtailed, jumped out before it even stopped rolling. Every step toward him felt like lightning under my skin. I didn't even know what I was doing, just pure animal fury. What the hell do you think you're doing? I barked, squaring up to him. He barely glanced at me. Mind your business, dude. I didn't even feel my fist leave my side. Just the impact. A clean, satisfying crack against his jaw. He crumpled like wet paper. His sunglasses flew one way, his clipboard the other. I didn't stop. I saw red. I was red. 17 years. 17 years of providing, building a home, staying loyal through every storm. And here's this stranger on my lawn, pointing at my furniture like I'm the intruder. I pinned him down, fists flying. I could hear someone yelling, but I wasn't listening. Not until I heard her voice. Eric, what are you doing? Get off him. Marissa. She shoved me off, eyes wide, not with guilt but annoyance. She dropped to her knees next to him, dabbing blood from his nose with her sleeve like he was the victim here. I backed up a step, panting, hands still shaking. You know this guy? She didn't even blink. Just nodded, her voice like frost. Yes, this is Jonas. He's my boyfriend. Time stopped. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Boyfriend. The word echoed through me like a hammer against glass. You're my wife? I whispered, choking on the words. And you're what? Moving our life out while I'm at work. I was going to call you after, she said, brushing dust off her pants like nothing happened. I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. My knees almost buckled. But before I could speak again, red and blue lights danced across the lawn. 2 squad cars, flashing silently but blindingly. The cops stepped out slowly. Jonas was groaning on the ground. The mover stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching like it was the most entertaining thing they'd seen all week. One of the officers walked up. What's going on here? I'm a homeowner, I said, trying to steady my breath. I got a call from my neighbor. People were loading a truck outside my house. I came home and found this guy giving orders. My wife, I turned, biting back rage. Decided to take half our stuff without telling me. The cop looked to Marissa. Ma'am, is this your husband? She nodded. And you're removing items from the house? I'm taking my half, she said, arms crossed. The cop shook his head. You can't legally remove joint property without a court order. This could be considered theft. That got her attention. For the first time, her face shifted from smug to shocked. What? That's ridiculous. Maybe so, he replied. But that's the law. Jonas finally managed to wheeze. Baby, let's just go. We'll figure it out later. I lunged again, but the second officer grabbed me fast. One more move, and you're in cuffs too. I stopped. Barely. My chest felt like it might burst. The movers started unloading everything. Marissa stormed inside, muttering, "This isn't over." I couldn't stop myself. I called after her. Oh, it's just getting started. An hour later, the cops were gone. The furniture was back. I sat on the edge of the couch, hands swollen and raw. Everything looked crooked, off-center, like someone had rearranged my entire life while I was away. And then the front door opened. Zara, our daughter, 16, backpack slung over one shoulder. She stopped cold in the entryway, scanning the disarray. The twisted coffee table, the blood on the carpet, my bruised hands. Dad, what happened? Sit down, kiddo, I said quietly. We need to talk. She walked over slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Is everything okay? She asked. I took a breath. Your mom left today. She's seeing someone else. Zara didn't cry. She just gave a small nod, like she already knew. Oh, she said. You mean Jonas? My heart stopped. You knew? I asked. Yeah, she whispered. Mom told me a while ago. I don't remember how long. I just sat there, staring at Zara. Yeah, she'd said. Mom told me a while ago. The words kept echoing. That calm, matter-of-fact tone, like she was talking about the weather. My daughter, my kid, knew. She'd known, and she hadn't said a damn thing. How long? I asked finally, though I didn't want to hear it. Zara's fingers twisted in the hem of her hoodie. 6 months, I think. Maybe a little more. 6 months. That meant while I was waking up early, kissing her forehead, packing up tools to head to job sites, she knew. When I came home and made her favorite pasta, watched movies with her, helped her with calculus she hated, she knew. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. It came out sharper than I intended. She flinched. Mom told me not to. She said, if I ruined it, if I told you, she'd send me to boarding school. She said she'd make sure I lost everything. Her voice cracked. Finally. But I couldn't even comfort her. Not then. I was too broken. So I just nodded slowly and stood up. I need some air. I walked out the door and didn't even know where I was going. I just walked. Around the block. Past neighbors pretending not to watch from behind their blinds. 17 years. And this was how it all collapsed. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in and said I had a family emergency. My supervisor didn't ask questions, probably already heard the rumors. Instead, I drove across town to Morris's office. We played ball together back in the day. He became a lawyer. I rewired his house 2 summers ago and told him, call me anytime you need electrical help. That morning, I cashed that favor in. His secretary took one look at my face and let me walk right in. Jesus, Eric, Maurice said, standing. What happened to you? I dropped into the chair across from him. Marissa's cheating. She tried to move out yesterday, took half the house with her. I caught her red-handed, and she brought her boyfriend. He blinked. She what? With a U-Haul. Like it was a goddamn checklist. Maurice was already reaching for a stack of forms. Okay, we're filing today. Emergency petition. Asset freeze. Protective order on the joint accounts. You'll get the house, the vehicles, whatever was yours before marriage. Did you have a prenup? No. Doesn't matter. You owned the house before her, right? 2 years before we got married. Good. That'll hold up. What about retirement accounts? Separate. Maurice nodded. Even better. Then he leaned back. What about Zora? I paused. The word felt like glass in my throat. Let her stay with Marissa. You sure? I shook my head. She knew. For months. And she said, Jonas would have been a better dad. Maurice winced, but didn't argue. Okay, but expect child support. I'll pay what's required. No more. After that, I went straight to the bank. Withdraw from the joint account, I told the teller. All of it. Leave $37. She blinked. That's very specific. It's what she contributed in the past year. I signed, took the receipt, and walked out without another word. Then I made call after call. Insurance, credit cards, Netflix, Costco, Amazon, the gym. Everything joint was cut off. Every thread between us snipped one by one. Next was HR at work. Changed my 401k beneficiary. Removed Marissa. Replaced with my sister. I wasn't just divorcing her. I was scrubbing her from my life. 2 days later, she got served. Right at the salon, mid-appointment. I paid extra for rush service. She called me 12 times that day. I didn't answer until the 13th. What the hell is this? She screamed. Divorce papers. You're trying to leave me with nothing? You already took everything that mattered. The rest is legal. You don't get to decide that. Already did. With Maurice. And the law agrees. She was crying now, crocodile sobs. I gave you 17 years. Doesn't that count for something? You got Jonas, I said flatly. Go enjoy him. Then I hung up. The court hearing came faster than expected. Maurice filed for an emergency date, citing property theft and attempted asset drainage. I wore my best suit. Clean shave. Calm demeanor. Marissa came with a lawyer named Vanessa. Young, green, visibly nervous. And Jonas, of course, still had the faint yellow bruises on his jaw. The guy refused to make eye contact. Zara came too, with Marissa's parents. She didn't even look at me. It hurt. God, it hurt more than I can admit. The judge started fast. Vanessa tried arguing for spousal support. Half the house, part of my retirement. Maurice destroyed every point. Your Honor, my client bought the house 2 years prior to marriage. The deed is in his name alone. Retirement accounts are separate by law. Both parties work full-time jobs. Comparable income. No need for spousal support. Then Maurice brought the receipts. My client has solely funded the joint account for the past year. Mrs. Thompson's total contributions, $37. The judge didn't even blink. Account awarded to Mr. Thompson. Marissa's face turned red. She looked like she was about to burst. But the real gut punch came next. Custody. The judge turned to Marissa. Do you intend to seek full custody of Zara? Marissa shrugged. I'm moving in with Jonas. I don't want to uproot Zara in her senior year. She can stay with my parents. No emotion. No fight. Just handing her off. Zara's eyes widened. She looked blindsided. I could see the tears forming. Maurice leaned in. Let the grandparents keep custody, at least for now. We'll revisit it later. The judge agreed. Split financial support. No alimony. No spousal claim. She got what she contributed to. Nothing more. As we were leaving the courtroom, I heard Zara behind me. Dad. I turned. She looked smaller than usual. Her voice cracked. Why don't you want me to live with you? I swallowed hard. Everything in me wanted to run. I don't hate you, Zara, I said quietly. But I can't look at you right now, not after what you said. That you wish Jonas was your dad. I didn't mean it, she whispered. I was just repeating what Mom told me. That's the problem, I replied, voice shaking. You believed her. You took her side. And it wasn't mine. Her grandmother stepped in, pulled her close. Come on, sweetheart. Zara didn't stop staring at me. I didn't call her back. That night, I went home to the same crooked couch, the same TV that had been shoved back into place by movers. The carpet still had the faint stain from Jonas's blood. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat there in the dark, thinking about everything. About how fast everything collapsed. About how Zara's words cut deeper than Marissa's betrayal. I sat like that until the sun came up, hands still clenched, chest hollow. And by then, I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. The day after the court hearing, I didn't return to the house right away. I drove around for hours with no destination. I passed construction zones, convenience stores, strip malls. Every one of them looked more like home than the place I'd spent the last 17 years. The house had become a tomb. Every inch of it whispered reminders of a life that turned out to be a lie. I finally parked in front of it, engine running, just staring at the front door. I didn't want to go inside. Not because of what was missing, but because of what still remained. Ghosts of memories that no longer meant anything. The couch we bought together. The kitchen we repainted 3 times. The dent in the floor from Zara's first bike. I walked in, and it hit me again like a wave. The silence. Not peaceful silence, just absence. Something you could feel. I went straight to my room, opened the closet, and pulled out 2 suitcases. Packed only what I needed. Clothes, tools, documents. Left the rest. Then I made one call. Hey, you got anything decent on the east side? I asked the leasing office. Small, cheap, fast. The apartment wasn't much, but it was clean. 2 bedrooms. A little balcony that overlooked a parking lot full of dusty sedans and pickup trucks. I took it, signed the lease that afternoon, moved in that evening. I left the house empty, didn't even lock the fridge. And just like that, I was gone. Marissa called again the next day. I didn't answer, but then the messages started changing tone. From, "You're going to regret this," to, "Can we just talk?" to, "Jonas isn't who I thought he was." I didn't respond. Then her mom, Celia, called. "Eric," she said, voice strained. "She's not doing well. Not my problem. She says Jonas hurt her." I paused. Physically. She won't say, but she's scared. Staying with her cousin. The salon cut her hours. She's unraveling. I sat there in silence. I wasn't ready to feel anything from Marissa again. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I also wasn't a monster. If she needs a lawyer for the restraining order, tell her to call Maurice, I said. That's all I'll do. I spent the next few weeks building my life from the ground up. I worked double shifts, anything to stay busy. I slept on a twin mattress for the first week. Ate takeout, drank too much gas station coffee. Bought a secondhand couch off Craigslist that smelled faintly of old cologne but was solid enough to sit on. The second bedroom? I didn't touch it. Just shut the door. Pretended it wasn't there. A reminder of something I wasn't ready to deal with. Then one day, I got a call from Celia again. "Eric, it's Zara." I sat up straight. "What happened?" "She's not sick, but she's struggling. Hard. She's lost weight. She won't eat. Her grades are tanking. She barely sleeps." I didn't say anything. "She's devastated," Celia said, voice shaking. "And I need to tell you something." There was a pause. Then Marissa threatened her. I sat back. Cold crept in my spine. "What?" "She told Zara she'd send her away. To a school upstate. Said if she ruined her relationship with Jonas, she'd lose her friends, her home, everything. She manipulated that child, Eric." I felt like I was hearing it for the first time, really hearing it. "She wasn't picking a side," Celia said. "She was scared, caught in the middle. She didn't know what to do." I rubbed my eyes. My chest ached. "Would you be willing to talk to her?" Celia asked. "Please." That Friday, after work, I drove back to the neighborhood. Their porch light was on when I pulled up. Zara was sitting on the steps, arms around her knees, hoodie pulled over her head. She looked small, not like the kid who told me I was just the stable option. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. She didn't stand when I walked up. "Your grandma told me you're not doing too well." She shrugged. "I'm fine." I sat beside her. We didn't speak for a minute. Then I said quietly, "She told me about the threat. About the boarding school." Zara flinched. "I didn't want to lie to you. I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped." I didn't respond. Just let it sit between us. Finally, she whispered, "I never really wanted Jonas to be my dad." I looked at her, waiting. I wanted to believe Mom. She kept saying they were soulmates. That everything would be perfect once they were together. I guess. I just wanted it to be true. My jaw clenched. "You know there's no such thing as perfect, right?" She nodded. Slowly. "I know that now." Another pause. Then, in the softest voice, "I miss you, Dad." My throat closed. I put my arm around her. "I miss you too." And she broke. Tears. Full body sobs. Gasping breaths. Shaking shoulders. I held her and said nothing. Just rubbed her back and kept her steady. "I'm sorry," she kept repeating. "I'm so sorry." "I know," I said. "I know you are." When she finally stopped crying, I pulled back slightly. "How would you feel about coming over this weekend?" I asked. "See the new place? I got a room set up for you, if you want it." Zara looked at me, eyes red but hopeful. "Really?" I nodded. "We got a lot to work through, kiddo. But you my daughter. That hasn't changed." She hugged me again, tight enough that it hurt. "I like that," she whispered. "A lot." Celia stood at the door when we walked in. She didn't say anything, just nodded and gave me a tired smile. "Thank you," she said. "And I'm sorry. Bill and I, We should have said something sooner. We thought Marissa would come to her senses. I looked her in the eye. We all make mistakes, trying to protect the people we love. She blinked, then nodded. That we do. Later that weekend, Zara and I sat on the floor of my apartment, eating pizza out of the box and watching some dumb movie with robots. And for the first time in months, I laughed. Not forced, not bitter, just real. She curled up on the couch, pulled a blanket over herself, and said, "This place is small, but it feels more like home than the house ever did." I looked around. Bare walls, faint smell of paint, secondhand furniture. But she was right. It finally felt like something new. Zara stayed the whole weekend. She didn't say much, but she didn't need to. We cooked breakfast together. She insisted on washing the dishes afterward. We took a walk around the block Sunday afternoon, and she slipped her arm through mine like she used to when she was little. It felt good. Not perfect, not healed, but it was a start. By Sunday evening, she was texting me pictures of throw pillows she wanted for her room. I didn't correct her. I just told her we'd go pick them out next weekend. The next week at work, I was on site in a new commercial build downtown. It was all steel frames and raw possibility. Something about that felt symbolic, like I was wiring up a new life alongside the structure. Joanna was there too, project manager for the firm we'd contracted. I'd met her a few months earlier, but back then I was too wrecked to see anything clearly. Now it was different. She was smart, sharp-tongued in a way that caught you off guard but fair. She once caught a speck I'd overlooked on a blueprint and didn't gloat, just corrected it with a smirk and moved on. I respected that. We started having lunch together, then coffee. Then one evening, she called me just to rant about a plumbing inspector who'd failed a pipe for being 1/8 of an inch too short. I listened, laughed, found myself looking forward to her voice. There was no rush, no flirting games, just ease. And after everything I'd been through, ease felt like a miracle. Zara met Joanna over dinner at the apartment a few weeks later. They clicked immediately. By dessert, Zara was teasing her about her construction boots and asking if she could help pick out new cabinet handle for the kitchen. Joanna just laughed and said, "Only if you're picking paint colors too." Watching them made my chest feel full in a way I hadn't felt in years. Later that night, after Joanna left, Zara curled up on the couch and said, "I like her. She's real." "Yeah," I said, "she is. But peace never lasts long when you've got unfinished ghosts." Marissa texted again. This time she didn't rage or sob. Just one sentence. "I need help." I didn't respond. A day later, she showed up outside my job site. I was standing by the truck, reviewing conduit specs, when I heard someone say, "Hey, Eric." I turned and saw her, Marissa. She looked hollow, like someone had turned her inside out. Her clothes hung off her. Her eyes were sunken, hair tied back with none of the confidence she used to wear like perfume. I said nothing. She stepped closer. "I'm not here to start a fight," she said quietly. I don't have anyone else." I stared at her. "What happened?" She looked down, twisting her hands together. "Jonas hit me. A few times. It started small, grabbing my arm, slamming doors. Then last week, he threw a chair." I said nothing. "He's gone now. Restraining order. But I lost everything. I'm staying with my cousin. The salon cut my hours. They said I bring in too much drama. I don't have a car or savings. She didn't cry. She just looked like someone waiting for the ground to open and swallow her. "I thought Jonas was the answer," she whispered. "He wasn't." I sighed and looked away. "I hope things get better for you," I said, and I meant it, but I didn't offer anything more. She flinched, nodded, and walked away. Zara brought over more of her stuff the next week. Clothes, books, her favorite worn blanket from childhood that she never let anyone wash properly. I didn't ask if she was moving in. I didn't have to. One night while we were folding laundry, she said, "Do you ever miss her?" I paused, t-shirt in hand. "I miss who I thought she was," I said. "But that person never existed." Zara nodded slowly. "Yeah, I know what you mean." Then she said, "She asks about you sometimes. If you're seeing someone." I chuckled. "Tell her to worry about her own life." We both laughed. It felt good. A few days later, Zara was cleaning out some old boxes from the guest closet. She was putting together a donation pile when she came across something tucked in an old shoebox. An envelope. No stamp. Just a date scrawled in the corner. 3 years ago. She opened it. Dad, she said, voice hesitant. You need to read this. I looked up from the kitchen. She handed me the letter. It was from Marissa to Jonas. Dated while we were still married. Still supposed to be happy. I dream about you every night, it began. Eric's a good man, but I feel like I'm drowning. Like I settled. You were always the one. If we hadn't lost touch after college, I know things would have been different. He deserves someone who really wants him. And that's not me. My hands trembled as I read it. She'd written that 3 years before she left. She wasn't pushed away. She planned this. For years. I dropped the letter onto the table, the words buzzing like electricity under my skin. Zara watched me. I didn't know she wrote that, she said. I swear. I believe you. She looked surprised. You do? I nodded. Yeah, I do. That night, I sat out on the little balcony, sipping black coffee and staring into the dark. For the first time, the anger didn't feel like it owned me anymore. Just sat beside me. Quiet. Distant. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel wrecked. I just felt free. The envelope sat on the kitchen counter for days. I didn't throw it away. I didn't reread it either. It just stayed there, like a scar you've learned to live with. Every time I walked past it, I felt a twinge of something. Not anger. Not grief. Just confirmation of what I'd always suspected deep down. She hadn't stumbled into Jonas. She'd been reaching for him while I was still holding her hand. Zara stayed quiet about it. But I noticed a shift in her after the letter. She was more present, more thoughtful. She double-checked the locks before bed, started doing her own laundry without being asked. She even offered to cook a few nights a week. I think reading that letter gave her clarity too. She wasn't just angry at her mom. She was embarrassed. One night, she said, I think I wanted so badly to believe her version of things because it meant we didn't throw away our family for nothing. But we did, didn't we? I nodded. She did. We survived it. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the court. Marissa had filed for modification of custody. Her petition said she wanted Zara to start living with her part-time again. Claimed her life was stable, that she was working toward rebuilding a healthy, co-parenting relationship. I read the whole thing twice. Then I handed it to Maurice. He gave me a long look and said, We'll fight this, and we'll win. In court, Marissa showed up alone. No Jonas this time. Her makeup looked forced, like it was hiding how thin and brittle she'd become. She wore a beige pantsuit like she was trying to look professional, but it didn't fit her right. Nothing about her looked right anymore. Her lawyer was different now, too. A guy in his 50s, all gray suit and measured words. Probably thought this case would be a breeze. Zara sat next to me in the gallery. She wore a simple black sweater, jeans, and the quiet confidence of someone who had seen too much and grown up fast. She held my hand. When the judge called her to testify, she didn't hesitate. I don't want to live with my mom, she said clearly. Not now. Maybe not ever. Why not? The judge asked. Zara swallowed, but held steady. She lied to me. She used me. She told me that if I ever told my dad about her affair, she'd send me away. So it would all be my fault if things fell apart. The courtroom went still. She made me feel like I was a grenade, and the only way to protect her was to stay silent. I don't want to live with someone who treats love like a weapon. The judge nodded slowly. I looked over at Marissa. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. Just kept her eyes on the table like if she looked up, the entire room would collapse. The judge ruled immediately. Custody would remain unchanged. Zara would continue living with me full-time. She could visit her mother if she chose to. Marissa said nothing. Not when the gavel dropped. Not when the courtroom emptied. Not even when Zara walked past her without looking back. Outside the courthouse, Zara stopped me. Dad, yeah. She reached in her bag and pulled out another envelope. This one was new, cream-colored, heavier. I found this in Mom's closet the last time I visited her. I didn't open it. I think it's for you. I turned it over. My name, in her handwriting. I opened it carefully, already bracing for another emotional landmine. But inside, it wasn't a letter. It was our wedding photo, a copy of the one we used to keep on the mantel. Back when the mantel was a place of pride and not just a shelf above ashes. On the back, written in faded ink, just one line. You really were a good man. I just wasn't ready for that. No apology. No excuses. Just that. Zara peered over my shoulder and read it. She still doesn't get it, she said. No, I replied. She doesn't. That weekend, Zara and I went out to dinner. Just the two of us. No phones. No TV. Just real conversation over burgers and milkshakes. She asked if she could invite Joanna next time. I said I'd love that. She asked if I was happy. I paused. Thought about it. I'm getting there, I said. And that's a hell of a lot better than I've been in a long time. A few days later, Bill, Marissa's father, showed up at my place unexpectedly. I was in the garage fixing a lamp when I heard the knock. He looked older than I remembered. Smaller, somehow. I heard about the custody ruling, he said. Yeah. He nodded, looked down at his shoes. You've been a better man than I gave you credit for, Eric. That landed heavier than he probably expected. Thanks, I said, finally. He reached into his coat pocket and handed me a small wooden box. We found this in the attic. It's yours. Inside was a pair of cufflinks. My grandfather's. I thought I'd lost them. Marissa kept them, he said. Maybe she meant to return them one day. Maybe not. But they're yours. I nodded. Appreciate it. He turned to go, then stopped. Zara's lucky to have you, he said. I'm lucky to have her. Later that night, Zara found me on the balcony again. Thinking, she asked. Always. She leaned on the railing beside me. Do you think Mom ever really loved you? I didn't answer right away. I think she loved the idea of me. The security. The consistency. But the real me? I don't think she ever bothered to learn who that was. Zara nodded slowly. That sucks. Yeah, but I'm okay. You're more than okay, Dad, she said. A few months passed. The air turned colder. Leaves started to fall in sheets, just like they had the year everything unraveled. But this time, I wasn't watching the wreckage. I was watching the rebuild. Zara officially moved in. No more weekends back and forth. No more maybe bags packed half-heartedly in the corner. She decorated her room in navy blues and string lights, bought a small desk for her college applications, and started leaving half-finished mugs of tea around the apartment like she owned the place. She did. She always had. Joanna started spending more time at the apartment, too. It happened naturally. A night here, a weekend there. Until one night, she brought over a second toothbrush without saying a word and left in the bathroom cup next to mine. She never tried to fix me, never rushed my healing. She just stayed, steady, light in her step, firm in her boundaries. She laughed at my bad jokes and called me out when I started retreating into myself again. One night, Zara came into the kitchen while I was chopping onions and said, "Joanna's good for you, Dad." I can see it. I smiled without looking up. She's good for both of us. I didn't hear from Marissa for weeks. And then, one morning, she called. I let it ring. Voicemail. A day later, another call. Then a text. I'm at the hospital. That stopped me. I called Celia. She confirmed it. Jonas had violated the restraining order. Showed up drunk at Marissa's cousin's house, broke a window, and tried to force his way inside. She tried to stop him. He hit her. Broke her wrist. She was pressing charges. This time it was real. Part of me wanted to turn away, walk on, and leave her to whatever came next. But I couldn't shake the image of the woman I once loved, sitting alone in a hospital bed with a cast on her arm and no one beside her. So I went, not to save her, just to show her that I was still standing. The hospital room was quiet when I walked in. Marissa looked up, startled. Her eyes were puffy. No makeup. Her hair was tied back, messy. She looked smaller. Not the woman who once controlled every room she entered. Just someone trying to figure out how she got here. I didn't think you'd come, she whispered. I almost didn't. She nodded. Silence sat between us for a while. Then she said, "You were right. About everything." I wasn't trying to be right, I said. I just wanted honesty. She looked down at her cast. I used to think you were boring. Predictable. Safe. I raised an eyebrow. That's one way to compliment someone. I mean it, she said, glancing up. I thought I wanted something exciting. Someone spontaneous. Jonas was everything I thought I missed. And he turned out to be everything I never wanted. Her voice cracked then. I destroyed our family. I hurt you. I hurt Zara. And now, I don't even know who I am anymore. I didn't say anything. Not out of spite, but because I'd already said everything that needed to be said. She finally looked me in the eyes. Do you think there's any way we could fix anything? I exhaled slowly. There's no way to fix anymore, Marissa. But you can fix yourself. You can own what you did. Apologize to Zara, not for her forgiveness, but because she deserves one. And then you move forward, not to get us back, just to get yourself back. She wiped her eyes. You still love her, she said. With everything I've got. She nodded, slowly, tears trailing down her cheek. I'm glad she has you. I stood to leave. She always did. 3 weeks later, Zara got her college acceptance letter. She came bursting into the apartment, eyes wide, envelope half crushed in her hand. Dad, I got into Northwestern. I was halfway through fixing the kitchen faucet. I dropped the wrench and nearly knocked over the sink. She laughed so hard she fell onto the couch. I sat beside her, heart pounding with pride. Psychology major, huh? I said, grinning. Yep, she beamed. Gonna help kids who go through stuff like we did. Someone needs to tell them it's okay to speak up. I wrapped my arm around her. You're gonna change lives. She looked at me. You already did. A few nights later, Joanna and I sat on the balcony, sharing a bottle of cheap red wine and listening to the distant hum of traffic. I've never seen you this relaxed, she said. Neither have I. We clinked glasses. Do you ever think about what would have happened if Marissa hadn't left? She asked gently. Sometimes, I said, and I think I'd still be asleep in a life that didn't love me back. Joanna leaned her head on my shoulder. I watched the stars. They didn't look so far away anymore. I sold the house that fall, split the profit evenly, not because I had to, but because I was ready to let go of the fight. Marissa didn't contest it. She sent a one-line email. Thank you for everything you gave, even what I didn't deserve. I archived it and never replied. The day Zara moved into her dorm, we made a road trip out of it, loaded up the truck, took turns singing badly to 90s playlists. She cried a little when we hugged goodbye. I'm gonna miss you, old man. I'll miss you more. Then she handed me something, small, square, wrapped in old newspaper. I opened it after the drive home. It was the photo of the two of us from her 5th grade science fair. Her arms wrapped around my neck, both of us covered in glitter glue and popsicle sticks. On the back, in her handwriting, you were never just a backup plan. You were the blueprint. I stood in my apartment that night, looking around at the life I rebuilt from ashes. The walls were still a bit bare. The couch still creaked. But the silence didn't scream anymore. It breathed, softly, like peace. Final line. I wasn't the man she wanted, but I became the man my daughter needed. And somehow, through every betrayal, breakdown, and bitter end, that turned out to be enough.